Hi, I'm Rick Archer. I'm one of the founding principals at Overland Partners Architects, architecture and urban design firm in San Antonio, Texas. And I'm really pleased to be here with you on this Texan by Nature conference. Thank you to Texan by Nature, and to be talking about how we might collaborate together for a healthier future. So about 30 years ago, we had the privilege to work with Lady Bird Johnson on the Wildflower Center in Austin. And back then, there were actually no metrics for measuring a building's performance in terms of the environment or energy. And so we kind of pioneered a process that eventually was a part of LEED. Similarly, today, we find ourselves in the position where we are trying to measure human experience, but there is no great way to do that. And so internally, Overland has developed a process that we call the Human Handprint. Now, the Human Handprint is a method or a framework by which we unlock the embedded potential in all of our projects. We believe that there's deep potential that's just waiting to be discovered. And in addition to that, it's a promise that we make to actuate positive transformations in the communities that we serve. Like the hand, the Human Handprint has 5 digits or 5 categories. First is aspiration. It points the way. It really is addressing the mission of the organization, the mission of the project, and it is answering the question, why? The second is the middle finger, which is inspiration or provocation. We're looking very closely at the things that inspire our client, inspire the mission of that organization, but also what is it that that organization is trying to provoke? What change are they trying to cause in our thinking or our way of acting? The third is relationships. It's our ring finger. It's the relationships we have with one another, within the team, our relationship to the client, but really the complexity of the many, many relationships that clients have with their various stakeholders, with the broader community, with their cultural context. These are all things that need to be attended to and managed along the way. Our pinky is stewardship. It's the pinky promise that we make to the earth and to one another. It's about how we steward our resources, both our physical resources, but also how we steward our clients' financial resources, their talents, their treasure. And so we want to make sure that we steward all those things well. And finally, the 5th is well-being. How are we doing? How has the building affected the people who participate in it? You know, I don't like to call people inhabitants or occupants of buildings, because I think it misses the fact that they really are engaged with the building in a relationship that affect one another. And so we're very, very interested in human well-being. And we're going to talk mostly about that today. I want to share with you how we've applied the Human Handprint, this method for both planning and then evaluating how we've done using a project called Child Safe. Child Safe is a center for abused and neglected children in San Antonio, Bexar County. And it's a place where children who've been traumatized by abuse are brought for both forensic studies to find out what's happened to them. They have to interface with the police, but most importantly, they're getting the therapy and the counseling, the help that they need to move on with their lives. The building, in order to do that, embraces nature. It really is about extending this 50,000 square foot building out into the 30 acres of land, 20 of which has become a city park, and letting nature really be a therapist for these children. And so I want to talk a little bit about how we've done that using the Human Handprint. Well, at Child Safe, or in Bexar County, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18. That doesn't include mental or other physical abuse. So we have a serious problem, and it's been worse during COVID-19. How might a building, though, begin to address this and actually make a difference in the lives of these children and those who serve them? Well, working with the staff, they came up with a mission statement to be a beacon of hope, to support total care and restoration of the county's abused and neglected children. And I will say a part of this for us was also to care for the people who care for them, those who are subject to a lot of secondary trauma. When we looked at guiding principles around this, first, it had to be safe. It had to be a place where the children who came felt comfortable. They felt embraced. They felt like it was okay to talk about what had happened to them. It was okay to begin their healing process, which was the second guiding principle, to be restorative. This really is about rebuilding their lives, and the environment, everything about the environment needed to restore them to harmony with themselves and with the world around them. It needed to be sustainable, both in terms of energy performance and the environment, but also economically for the center. It needed to be transformational, a place that really does change the trajectory of these kids' lives. And frankly, as we do that, the trajectory of our entire county. We need to begin to deal with this problem once and for all. And how does it do that? One, a guiding principle was to be connected to nature. What we know from studies is that nature is a great healer, and inviting kids into this natural setting was extremely important. But I want to focus on the fifth digit, as I said, which is well-being. There are really three major themes that the Child Safe staff thought about with this. The first was to be a beacon of hope. Many abuses of these children happen in their homes. And so it couldn't be a home. We didn't want a residential setting. We certainly didn't want something institutional. And so we really looked at this as a nature center, a place embedded in the natural world where the beauty of nature would be accessible to all. It was also about rebuilding lives with views to outdoors, a sheltering roof, healing gardens, and a focus on the child's experience of these things. We looked at biophilia, things like prospect, being able to see, and refuge, feeling safe. These are things that empower a child to be able to move from a place of feeling extremely vulnerable to embracing the adventure of life. And then thirdly, it needed to care for the staff. The staff come here every day. This is in a way like their home. And the secondary trauma that they experience is tremendous, probably even worse during this COVID-19 period. We've mitigated this by creating a building that they've been able to come to. The governor has deemed it essential services, and through daylight, views, fresh air, giving them a place of respite and delight, just as we have the children. One of the programs that's been particularly successful is called Family Enrichment Adventure Therapy, or FEAT. It's the first of its kind in the country, and it's a progressive counseling service that uses a series of outdoor activities to promote empowerment, to open communication, and to build trust. Some of those include rock climbing, archery, camping, kayaking, and I would even include some of the indoor art activities that have been placed adjacent to outdoor roof terraces so that the kids can move freely in and out of doors. Again, nature is the therapist. Statistically, since it opened a year ago, and keep in mind this has happened during 6 months, almost 7 months of shutdown for COVID, it served over 5,000 clients. They've conducted over 1,900 forensic interviews, 6,400 clinical therapy sessions. They've reviewed over 24,000 statewide intakes and trained over 15,000 individuals to recognize, respond, and report suspicions of child abuse. This center is giving them a place and the ability to do these things even during the challenges of a pandemic. But statistics don't really tell the whole story. I would say really the experiences of these families do. One mother said, "I don't have to wait for my daughter to come out of her room to tell me her feelings. This space, this place allows us to hear and feel it for ourselves." And really that's the true measure of how a building is done, is how has it engaged the people who participate in it? Has it led them toward the mission of the center, in this case, to bring healing and a sense of hope for the future to children who have been deeply traumatized. It's been a pleasure being with you. I look forward to answering questions. If you are interested in Child Safe, the Human Handprint, or anything else that Overland Partners has done, check us out at overlandpartners.com. Thank you.